Lisa, I wanted to kind of have a little bit of a discussion about maybe like baby step 1 or baby step 2 in the debt process. Do you know what baby step 1 is?
Baby step 1 is emergency fund of $1,000.
Okay. So currently we don't have baby step 1 completed anymore.
Well, we had it completed, and then we needed the $1,000, and now we're starting over again.
But right now I am also building like an operating fund for the business, retained earnings where I can use some of that money for maintenance items instead of the emergency fund. Yeah, little things that I have not been used to needing. It's like something happens to the rental, I didn't have to come out of pocket for that.
Yeah, I mean, having that emergency fund was great when your car just completely shut down. I don't know. Without it, we would have had to either borrow money from someone or like put it on a credit card or not done the repair, which would have really affected our ability to make money. So I definitely recommend having that.
So baby step 1, how does it make you feel when we have an emergency fund of $1,000?
It definitely makes me feel less anxious about money. Knowing that we have that to fall back on. Now, $1,000 isn't a lot of money, though.
Right.
So,
but it's got a purpose.
Right. I know that at some point in the baby steps, there is like he wants you to increase how much you have in savings. We haven't gotten to that part of the program yet.
So on paper, getting $1,000, it makes sense because you might have an emergency pop up, right? So like logically, it makes sense to have an emergency fund, right?
Yeah.
But the reason why baby step 1 exists is not necessarily for logic as much as it is for emotion, right? So money is more like what is the guy from Friday? Messing with my money's like messing with my emotions. Is that Pinky or
I don't know.
Big Perm? That's what it is. I mean, Big Worm. Messing with my money is like messing with my emotions. So a lot of necessarily logical. It's a lot of it is emotional. So the feeling of security and safety with having an emergency fund is important to keep you going along the path of getting into debt freedom. Like you were saying, like you felt more secure with having that $1,000, but it's not enough of an emergency fund long term, right? Is what you were saying?
Yeah.
But that's also emotional because it gives you a sense of urgency to finish baby step 2 so that you can get that buffer zone built up to 3 to 6 months. All right, so that brings up the topic of baby step 2.
Yes.
which is the debt snowball. What is the debt snowball?
The debt snowball is when you start. Well, I mean, for the debt snowball, first you have to list out all of your debt, right?
Right.
Like,
so you
that's
list
the
out
first
all of
part.
your debts.
And then you take the smallest debt you have and you pay that off as quickly as you can. And then you roll that payment like a snowball, like you're making a snowman, almost more than a snowball. Because, I mean, it gets bigger than a snowball. I mean, I guess it depends on how much debt you have. You could have a really big snowball. But you roll that payment over into the next smallest debt and you keep rolling it until eventually.
Well, the next debt that's going to be the new smallest.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you go from least to greatest in paying off the debt.
So in balance or in interest?
I'm going to say balance. I don't think interest matters because I think the point is to pay it off quickly.
Okay. So why would you want to pay it off quickly? Pay something off quickly.
So you have more cash flow to pay off other debts.
All right, let's go back
Sooner.
to in baby step 1.
I
What's
feel
the
like I'm
significance?
getting
What
grilled.
is one of? I'm just. What is the significance in outside of logic for baby step 1?
Did Derek get the question right? He said, so you feel a sense of accomplishment, right?
Correct, Derek. Ding, 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 ding. If
Win
I could,
prize.
is Derek already a member now that Cray Cray donated?
I'm gonna say, Derek, you're now a member.
I think from the desktop you can gift a membership. Now it's a new thing, but so yeah, exactly. You want to get a win, a quick win, and you want wins over logic because wins keep the momentum of the snowball moving versus logically saying, yeah, mathematically you're going to pay less interest and you're going to have less debt to pay off if you go by interest rate in mathematical theory. But in human theory, where humans are emotional, it's
Especially
easy to
women.
get discouraged with a big, like, let's say your lowest interest rate is like a 1% interest rate on a credit card that you've put $40,000 on, and you're just paying a minimum payment on like a $8,000 credit card with a or let's reverse that. You got 8,000 credit card with a 1% interest rate, and you got a $40,000 with like a 19% interest rate. Logically, you want to get rid of that interest rate, but if you pay off the $8,000, you get a win faster. You might give up on the $40,000.
Yeah. Sorry, the whole time you were talking, my brain was just like, all I do is win, no matter what. Well, I was just over here having a dance party while you're talking about the match.
Too bad you don't have the camera on, so we could have witnessed this dance party.
There's a reason the camera is not on right now.
So far, baby step 1 and baby step 2, the method of them is more based on emotions than logic, right?
Yes. I mean, I feel like a lot of these are more. It's getting out of debt is more of a mental game than it is a logical game because you weren't using logic when you got into debt. That's for sure.
Right. Because logically you wouldn't get into debt.
I don't mean like you in particular. I'm just saying like
right.
anybody. Okay, wait.
Because logically, you would not get into debt. All right, so I wanted to kind of discuss a little bit of this because we've established like baby step 1 and baby step 2 are more about like human emotion than they are about human logic.
Yeah.
And so there was a comment on my last long form video that I once I get to a spot where I can park, I'll pull it up.
You want to address that comment?
Right. All right, so let me pull up this comment here. All right, so there's a comment. It says, and shout out to the commenter. I'm not throwing shade or anything. From Gig Adventures says Dave Ramsey doesn't know the rideshare game. He's old school, doesn't believe in FICO score. So I'm assuming how is supposed to say, so how does anyone buy a house without one? And then I just answered the question. I said manual underwriting. And then the next question, the next comment in the thread says driving. So I'm assuming to let me know they're driving while texting, so it's not going to make much sense. So I'm going to have to make sense out of what it says. So bottom line, his theory doesn't work. Who has the money to buy a house full without payments, which he believes because he doesn't believe in a FICO score. In some ways, the amount you drive per day, it's better to rent because over time, unless you have more cost with the car than you make, what does he know? All right, so I just wanted to kind of address this logically. Yes, renting over time can potentially cost less than owning the car. But if you have strategies of like, I bought this car for less than $5,000, etc., you know, I could write off rental costs, the whole thing, versus I can take mileage. You can get into all of the details, the spreadsheet, the logic, but the number one benefit that I have received from turning in the rental after the point where I was paying full price again versus having the discount that I had, it's an emotional thing. Like, I feel more safe in the anxiety world when I need to take a day off and I don't have to be like, oh, but I have a $500 payment that I have to make on this car this week or else I'm going to lose it. You know what I mean? So if I take a day off with a car I've already got paid off, then I'm not worrying about that. Maybe I have other bills I need to think about, but it's not like, oh, if I don't make this $500 this week plus whatever I need because I need to take a day or two off or maybe the whole week, that's where it's different. So logically, yes, that argument makes sense. Emotionally, no. And you can say what you want to say about buying a house or whatever, but I do know Dave Ramsey's advice on buying a house is not that you should pay cash for the whole house unless you're talking about getting an additional house to use as a rental property, which I know Welty doesn't agree with that part of the Ramsey method, but that's what his advice is. You get 20% down if you can, so that you can avoid property mortgage insurance and get it on a 15-year loan and pay it off as fast as you can. So I just wanted to kind of recap a little bit we've determined baby step 1, baby step 2, because those are the baby steps we're working on, are more based off of human emotion than actual logic. But by doing so, it's based on logic of, if you don't pay attention to the emotional side of things, it's easy to give up on things. And then that money is like emotionally driven as much as it is logically driven. And then that you can buy a house with a loan according to the Dave Ramsey plan. So those are my takeaways from today's discussion about the baby steps. What about you, Lisa?
I would just say that I had something to say, and then my brain just went. No, I would say that at the very least, I can see in the comments that some people are like maybe questioning the system and if it works still today. I would just say try it. Like, that's what we're doing. We're trying it, and hopefully it works out. And even if it doesn't, like, at least we tried something as opposed to just remaining where we are. Like, what is it? There's a saying that's like, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. So,
Right.
So
Well,
we're doing something different.
Yeah, and to go off of that, like what I hear George Camel say a lot, or even Jade, they'll say, like, if you pay off your mortgage and you miss having that mortgage payment, you could always take out a HELOC. You know, if you miss having credit card payments, quit the plan and put everything back on your credit cards. You know, so everything's reverse